Welcome back to the loading zone. Today's deep thought: trucks have big wheels.
The carriers winning in 2026 aren't the ones with the most trucks. They're the ones running the smartest operations. While everyone else is chasing freight, they're chasing profit. See, today on Brake Check, we're exposing what the data really says and why common sense is still better than horsepower when it comes to today's trucking outfits finding success. We're going to talk data. We're going to talk tools. We're going to talk decisions that are going to prime your business for that success. And to do that, well, we're going to be bringing in some heavy hitters. We got Dehan from Truckstop, who brings the view from the market side, the freight trends, the rate intelligence, fraud, and the tools helping carriers make better decisions before they ever book a load. Then we got Bain from GLCS, who's bringing the view from inside the operation department, finding those technical gaps, broken processes, and the hidden inefficiencies quietly costing carriers money every single day. See, we got two experts, two perspectives, and one mission to help carriers stop guessing and start running smarter. This is Brake Check. I'm Charles Gracie, and it's time to go full stop. Now, if you're serious about protecting your money, running smarter in today's industry, then like, subscribe, and follow right here on FreightWaves for your top FreightCast, trucking news, and real trucking talk. And speaking of trucking news, well, we got to go talk about a little bit what's happening on the social media center. You know, that's where I like to get some of the news. A lot of people showing you guys pie charts, a lot of people trying to tell you how you should feel, but you really want to see how people feel, go to social media and see what they're complaining about or not complaining about. The first one I'm going to pull up is people celebrating 70 years of the Eisenhower interstate system and how it transformed America. Check this out.
When President Eisenhower enacted the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, he was looking directly into the future of American need. Greater convenience for greater numbers of people, greater happiness, and greater standards of living. As our nation approaches its 250 years of American independence, we are choosing not just to look back on our milestone achievements, but to build upon them.
There's a lot more that needs to be done.
We want to build more projects. We want to build them faster.
Under President Trump, under Secretary Duffy, we want to invest, we want to build, we want to expand.
There are roughly 7,700 congressionally designated miles of interstate yet to be built.
And in America, we don't fear the future, we invent the future.
It is time to renew and upgrade this network for the next generation, making it faster, safer, more efficient, more innovative, and more productive.
This is the very beginning of the golden age of America.
70 years of the Eisenhower interstate system. Talk about infrastructure. Talk about something worth celebrating. But hey, not all infrastructure is created equal. Like the can opener striking again right here in Louisville. Check this out. Eesh, man. So in this video, it was actually in the copy on social media. It showed that this was the second one in a single day. Now we're seeing these all over the place. So I want people to pay attention and just, you know, reach out to your drivers and remind them that, hey, you got to check bridge heights, read the signs. Don't just follow the blue line on Google Maps. Come on, people. We're better than this. This should not happen. Now, it is 4th of July week, 250 years as a country. Obviously, I'm sporting my patriotic swag, and I hope that each and every one of you are going to have a very exciting weekend ahead of you. You're going to take a little bit of time. You're going to celebrate this wonderful country and all the opportunities that it brings. But you can't do any of that without celebrating the men and women who bring all of that to us each and every day. So take a moment, sit down with your kids, talk to your family, and express the importance and the modern marvel that is our supply chain. Now we're going to go to a quick sponsor shout out from Tyler and Martin right here.
Are you in the market to buy or sell over-the-road equipment? Do you have tractors or trailers that you'd like to upgrade? Taylor & Martin works with fleets of all sizes, from single-unit owner-operators to large corporate fleets. Working with an auction company that is dedicated to tractors and trailers and only selling them at absolute public auction is the only way to go. Make the conscious decision to work with the best team in the industry, Taylor & Martin Auctioneers.
Huge shout out to Taylor and Martin for their support of the show and FreightWaves altogether. We're going to hop right into it. We got a lot to talk about. Our first guest is from Truckstop.com. He is the VP of Corporate Strategy and Development. We got Sean Dehan, and he helps shape the strategy behind one of the largest freight marketplaces in the industry, giving carriers better market intelligence, stronger freight fraud protection, smarter tools to find profitable freight. Sean, welcome to Brake Check. How you doing today, bud?
What's up? How are we doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have this conversation with you. You know, we're on the cusp of a holiday weekend. So a lot of people are painting pictures like, hey, this is where you're going to be able to make your money. There's tons of opportunity. But like, I want to look just a little bit farther down the line on that. I want to talk about some of the operational efficiencies or inefficiencies that exist today and some of the tools there to help people pay attention to the data that they might be looking past. So I couldn't think of a better person than yourself and Truckstop to have this conversation with. So appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, excited to chat. Happy 250th anniversary, by the way, or birthday, maybe is better said, coming up here. Excited for this July 4th.
Oh, yeah. I am absolutely throwing a banger of a celebration party this weekend, but we can't celebrate too soon. We still got to get through a couple more work days. But, Sean, let's talk a little bit about, a lot of people think when it comes to using a load board or posting up freight, it's just post and pray. And there's a lot smarter ways to do it than just post it up and hope for the best. A lot of carriers are using load boards to find loads. What's the difference between that and using Truckstop as a true business tool for your operation?
Yeah, so I think what we have found, our customers on the carrier side in particular, or the owner operator side, that are most successful leveraging Truckstop or leveraging really any load board, but let's talk about Truckstop specifically, tend to see Truckstop as a key business tool, but not the only business tool that it has. So what I mean by that is, I have multiple customers who have become friends, and we chat all the time, and I ask them about how their business is doing and where they're getting their freight. And very frequently what they will tell me is they have a couple kind of dedicated routes, or they've got a couple customers that they go direct with on the shipper side even. And they use the load board as a market sensing tool. Where is the market good? What is the market rate for freight that I might work with my dedicated partner on? And when I need to fill in the gaps of my dedicated routes, which is pretty frequent, it's not usually enough freight to keep their entire schedule full. They use Truckstop to fill in those gaps. And I think, what I find, and I think what is most interesting about this space, we serve a lot of very brand new authorities. Now, not all these folks are brand new truckers, right? They probably have trucked or driven for a company, or maybe even leased on, but oftentimes they have a brand new authority that come to Truckstop and they're looking to fill their truck. With Montgomery and the kind of tenor around freight fraud still and theft, brokers have tightened up and have reduced their reliance on fresh authorities. And so what I usually talk to our customers about is, how do you go into your new business ahead of the curve, which is to say, maybe you already have a customer before you even get your authority, because you've been driving for a while, you've got a reputation, you've been working at a warehouse, you've been dropping off at a warehouse for a long time, and you've built up a reputation with that group, and you're actually able to bring a customer into the new authority that you're starting. Then a load board is going to be a great tool for you, right? It's not going to be your entire reliance, but it's going to be a great tool for you. So, we can obviously talk about the rates products that our customers use, right? Of course, they want to look at what the market rate is, what the going rate is, how busy a market might be. Maybe your dedicated lane is taking you into a challenging outbound market. and you've got to consider how you price that freight for that as well. And then, of course, as you become busier and as you continue to grow your business and look to focus on your profitability on the road versus your back office, we believe that there's value in leveraging technology in the back office and technology in your operations, whether it might be a very light TMS that you're leveraging so that you don't have to keep track of everything in your head, or you're not just have paper flying everywhere, or emails and Gmail as your organizational tool. We've built light TMSs for that reason. And of course, we help our customers stay cash flow positive as well through working capital solutions and back office invoicing automation. So, I think we want to serve our customers the way they want to be served. And if they want to use Truckstop for all of those things, fantastic. If they want to use Truckstop for a couple of those things, great as well, right? We're here for our customers, and we want to meet them where they are.
So you guys have built this ecosystem, and depending on where someone's comfort level is, their needs might be at any stage of their business, you guys have tools there to help them make better decisions, to see the data, and to understand their operations. When you're looking at some of these data points, a lot of people are saying we're in a stronger freight market than people thought we would be in at this junction. Yeah. What are you seeing out there, and what are these tools doing to position these people to make sure that they can maximize their efficiency and output in a market that could be friendlier to them than past 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the camp of I will raise my hand for being one of those that thought that a supply side only kind of market wouldn't be all that great. But what I mean by that is, we haven't really seen a meaningful change in demand across at least reefer and van. There's been some demand signals and cycles with data center construction, infrastructure construction, and things of that nature for flatbed and open deck. But I didn't think that we'd see meaningful changes in rates just because of the supply side driven market, and we're seeing it. I think we're going to see what happens. I don't know. You probably saw Trump's tweet this morning or last night. I don't know when it was, but
which one?
Yeah, exactly. About the gas prices and fuel stops needed to drive down the cost of fuel, or else basically. We'll see what happens there. But I think a lot of the run up in rate was definitely driven by the rising fuel costs. And so obviously there is a catch-22 there from profitability perspective. It may be better from a top line perspective, revenue perspective, but are you taking home more profit? But what I can definitely say at a minimum is that there are fewer carriers on the road, fewer trucks on the road. And so brokers and shippers are having to find and search for new capacity that they potentially weren't looking for before. So it's actually a great time to be a carrier looking to expand your business. And it's a great time. I find these moments of dislocation when we're either dislocating to a very demand friendly market or a broker shipper friendly market. That's actually a very good use in market moment for a load board because of the volatility. Similarly, when we're moving into a capacity friendly market like we are in right now, another great use for a load board. Right, I talked to a couple friends of mine who work on the accounting side and work with a lot of truckers, and what they find is that sometimes truckers don't necessarily take as much advantage of these market swings by either raising rates on dedicated stuff or by playing the spot market a little bit more than they were before to benefit from the spot rate increases. So I think one that's really important is just continue to look at what market indexes that we provide in Truckstop.com, whether it be rate indexes or pressure indexes like load to truck ratios and things of that nature. Those are really important to understand in your market. And you may think, hey, I run this lane all the time, I know exactly what this lane is worth. But here's the deal, right? The volatility is very serious right now, and rates are increasing on a weekly basis. And then sometimes decreasing, right? But generally speaking, they're on a pretty secular increase. You should know what that increase is, so that you can make sure that you're maximizing profitability. It's been 4 years of really challenging rates. And I don't know, Charles, if you watched the U.S. men's national team game last night, the World Cup, but when, playing against Bosnia and Herzegovina, it felt like the freight market of the last 4 years. It was just, they were pulling our shirts and they were bodying us and they were trying to drag us down into the mud. We fought through and we came out the other side, and we got through the into the round of 16, which is where we want to be. And that feels like, honestly, to me, what a lot of truckers have been facing over the last 4 years. If you did it, you got through it, you went through the mud, you probably had some wins, you probably had some losses, you probably had some scares, but you made it through. And now's the time to really consider how you can make more money right now in a market that is carrier friendly for sure.
Well, and the market is carrier friendly right now, but to your earlier point, expenses are up. There's a lot of things that aren't painting the perfect picture. Yes, rates are up, but volume's not up. That's something we got to pay attention to. Volume is not up. What we're seeing, a lot are attributing to the capacity crunch due to, drivers being pushed out of the industry that shouldn't have been in the industry. So when you see that alone is very volatile, because there's a dam being put up right now. People can't get these CDLs or renew their CDLs, so that they're being held outside of the industry. At any point, that dam can break. And if we don't see volume pick up, then we're going to be right back to where we were, if not worse, because costs are up significantly. So when you're looking at all these different contributing factors that lead us to the freight market that we find ourselves in today, what are some of the tools or practices that a carrier should be looking at, data sets they should be looking at, so they can uniquely position themselves to capitalize off what we have right now? Because right now is certain. We don't know a month from now or 6 months from now.
Yeah. I mean, what we provide at Truckstop, and I will say for 100%, Charles, like volume per truck is up because there are fewer trucks, right? And volume isn't meaningfully down. But generally, to your point, like overall volume is not up, and maybe is even slightly down, just given where housing is right now. But the way we think about it and the way we try to provide tooling, and we just launched a great tool actually to tap into all that Truckstop can provide from a data intelligence and insight perspective. It's called Ava. It's a virtual assistant driven by AI. And the way I like to think about it is, historically, Truckstop has all this market data. We have all this intelligence about where and how you might be able to run your business and where and how you might be able to position your business for success. But the gating factor, there have been always two kind of impediments or limiters to the leveraging of that data for our customers. One is our ability to deliver products, right? To build product on top of the data that our customers want to use and can understand. And then two is the adoption from our customers and their ability to understand and really benefit from and leverage the product that we've developed. And we've delivered lots of products in the past that haven't provided our customers enough value because for one reason or another. The beauty of Ava is almost like, imagine, Charles, you wanted to ask Truckstop a question like, hey, I'd like to run these 3 lanes, pick 3 lanes. Which of the 3 lanes has performed better over the last 6 months? And which do you think will perform, which do we think will perform and continue to improve over the next 6 months, right? And the reason you might ask that question is maybe you're positioning yourself for your business, right? You're trying to understand, where are the growth parts of the economy? Should I be driving and hauling a flatbed? If I'm going to add a trailer, should I be adding an open deck versus a van? And if I'm adding an open deck, where should I be looking to add it? What parts of the country should I be adding it in? What lane should I really understand? And if I have an open deck, I should be making very good money right now, probably. And I should be very busy right now. If I'm not, well, where should I be focused? Maybe my part of the United States, my lanes aren't actually benefiting as greatly from the data center construction boom, the infrastructure trend. Maybe there are other parts of the market that are, right? And Ava can certainly support that, right? Those types of questions and provide insights that would have taken us months, even years to develop products that would have worked for our customers, because every customer needs something slightly different. And that's the beauty of AI. AI kind of creates this tailored solution for so many different folks. So that's one use of Ava. Obviously, there's other uses of Ava if you wanted to look for.
And I like what you guys did there too, because a lot of people are putting out cookie cutter approaches. Like, here's this algorithm, and if you fit inside our algorithm, it's going to tell you how to do your job. And then they package it as AI, but really it's a cookie cutter mold. But trucking is not a cookie cutter mold. Correct. Trucking companies, each one is unique. It's like its own strand of DNA, how it operates. And you have to get to know how it operates to really be a partner for it. So you guys have created a solution that's tailored to them and their wants, their needs, their questions in that moment that can make meaningful impact to their operation. I do want to switch gears a little bit here because there's so much that you guys do as a company. You guys have very robust offerings. One of the things that you guys are focused on is fraud prevention and broker vetting. You guys recently audited over 15,000 accounts in Q1. Is freight fraud getting worse, or is Truckstop just getting better at catching it?
I think that it is probably a combination of both. The reality of the matter is that are we getting better, or are we that we're continuing to evolve. I don't want to say we're getting better as if we weren't good in the past, but I do think it's important to always evolve and understand where the evolving vectors are. I think that we are continuing to see more and more attempts at freight fraud. I think that we are likely seeing maybe similar volumes of freight fraud as we were before. I think that's the data we see, but I think we're stopping more than we had in the past. So, in a lot of ways, the demand for freight fraud is much higher, but the actual success of freight fraud is lower right now because of all the things that we've put in place and done to support that. And I think what we feel really excited about, I'll give you another example also, Charles. We just inside of Ava, we have a really, really tight partnership with OIDA. And we go to OIDA a lot of times to really understand, hey, what types of products should we develop? How should we develop them? And how does it support the owner operator and the carrier in particular? I think that oftentimes carriers and truckers feel like products are developed for the brokerage market or the shipper market more than it is developed for the trucking market. And we certainly feel like the most important market to serve is the carrier market. And we were working with OIDA, and one of the asks they had to us was, hey, give us more information about the brokers that are posting the load, and give us more information about the load that's being posted. And so we've actually, one of the things we've put into Ava is we've already provided always historically broker credit checks and kind of better business bureau type of information on a brokerage. But we've actually gotten to the point where we can provide our carriers insights into a load. Is this broker typically working in this lane? If they are, what do they typically post in this lane? What rates do they typically post? How often do they post? Have they posted more recently than less? Are they typically a manual poster? Are they typically integrated? All of these things are ways in which we can provide carriers with some signals to either, one, the broker's experience in a lane, right? Are you working with a pro in this lane, or are you working with someone that maybe doesn't really understand the lane, is just trying to move a load and move on? And two, are there things about that load maybe that you should just be more careful on, right? When obviously meaningful red flags are thrown, we actually take care of it, right? We just shut the load down and quarantine it and make sure it's good before it's posted. But nevertheless, our customers want to know more and more, which I think is very exciting, and we're excited to deliver tools like Ava that can provide them more insight.
Well, I think what's cool there is, to your point as well, a lot of these things that have rolled out have been pro broker with not the carrier in mind. There's entire systems and platforms out there that carriers despise. They just don't feel like they're heard. They feel like it hinders their operations. And then when they have a complaint or there's an inconsistency, there's no avenue to address that. That has a timely solution to it. But then here you guys are actually reaching across the aisle and like, hey, yes, we have broker products, but we also are carrier partners as well. And you're reaching out to groups like the OOIDA to make sure that you're having that voice at the table when these things are being developed, and making sure that you guys are not only representing the brokers, but you're also protecting the carriers. And I think that's what sets you guys aside from a lot of the competitors in the market, because you are looking at this more holistically rather than just a one size fits all. And if you don't fit in our ecosystem, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, I know you're good friends with my buddy Dale, Charles, and Dale and I talk a lot about this actually, and Dale's been an awesome asset for Truckstop, and we are, we're continually evolving even products that you might consider to be entirely broker focused, like carrier compliance products, right? So products that vet a carrier. Our view post Montgomery is that carrier compliance and carrier vetting used to be a single player game. What I mean by that is one side vetted the other side. That was really it, right? And the other side that was being vetted had really no say in what they were being vetted on, or what information was being shown, or how the information was being delivered to that other party. Our view going forward really is that carrier compliance, carrier vetting, carrier selection is a multiplayer game now. It isn't just the broker vetting the carrier. The carrier obviously has to vet the broker, but the carrier also needs to be involved in the vetting process in a lot of cases. There are going to be scenarios where the carrier needs to provide clarification on things. The carrier needs to provide certification of things that can actually maybe save a carrier's business in some cases, right? From being a carrier that has been put on a do not use list for some out of service violation that happened 9 months ago that's been rectified, and maybe even the driver that had the out of service or the truck that had the out of service is no longer even in the fleet, right? That pockmark could continue to follow that carrier around for a very long time. How do we help the carrier handle that? How do we help the carrier put themselves in the right position so that the government data, which may be lagging, quite frankly, and may be inaccurate in a lot of scenarios, how do we make sure the carrier that's running a good business can have a good business and be appropriately supported in the industry? So we view that as one of the key tenets that going forward for us is how do we help carrier selection turn it from a single player game into a multiplayer game, so that carriers can have a voice here and more power and influence in how they're selected.
I love that. And you guys have made a plethora of tools, from heavy haul rates to pro miles to truckers path integration. I mean, what's next for Truckstop? Like, when we're looking at this ecosystem that you guys have created, and you're looking at it very holistically from a carrier and a broker lens, what's ahead? What should people be watching for to be popping up next for you guys?
Yeah, I think you said it. You actually said it earlier. You said there is no cookie cutter trucking business. You can't just build a single product and it fits everybody. And we 100% believe that, right? That is entirely our belief, that this market is so large and is so varied and is so complex that there is not a one size fits all solution. But there are a lot of markets that haven't benefited, that have been sort of left behind. A lot of parts of the operation, a lot of parts of trucking that have been left behind from a lot of the digital adoption and digital transformation that other businesses have benefited from. And our view is that we have a real opportunity to bring some of that innovation, some of that digital transformation, some of that leverage and efficiency that a lot of the other parts of the market have gotten, and start to bring that down market. As we continue to develop this, I know I'm being a little vague, but as we continue to develop this, Charles, we'd love to obviously take you guys through it, break check, and make sure you guys are announcing this to the industry with us, and bringing these tools, because I think there's a lot of really powerful things that we can do together. And I think as we develop for the individual trucking company as opposed to a broad market, the value we can deliver to our customers is just fantastic. And of course, we would love any break check listener that's interested in testing out Ava, our virtual assistant, to reach out to me, reach out to Charles. Charles will put you in contact, or reach out to BreakCheck. They'll put you in contact with Truckstop. We'd love to get you guys in our program to give us feedback and understand how things work.
I love that. So my hard stop question for you is simple. If I called you 12 months from now, are there going to be more small carriers in business or less, and why, based on everything you're seeing?
Oh, that's an interesting question. That is, I'd love to say more, because I think that it's a critical part of our supply chain and critically important in our supply chain. I struggle to see how there will be more right now, given the regulatory hurdles and obstacles that are in place for smaller carriers. So my feeling is that we will probably be net in a place we are today, right? I don't know that we'll have meaningfully less, but I don't see how we have meaningfully more small carriers than we have today either.
Well, Sean, I appreciate you taking the time to share all the exciting stuff that you're seeing over at truckstop.com. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July weekend.
Yeah,
make sure to open some fireworks and celebrate 250 100%. Years. It's a wonderful American experiment.
Thanks to all the truckers who've been on those highways for 70 years. And thanks for carrying all of our stuff, all that we need to keep our economy moving. And happy 4th of July to everybody.
All right, thank you, brother. We're going to go to a message from our sponsors over at Truckstop.com. And we are back, and we're not taking our foot off the gas at all, because we don't even know what a break looks like on this show. Up next, we're bringing Robert Bain, the Director of Partnerships and Senior Consultant over at GLCS. And his whole thing is helping carriers uncover the hidden gaps in their operations, those broken processes, those operational blind spots that quietly cost them time, money, and profit. We're nearly 2 decades in the trucking industry. Robert knows what separates efficient carriers from everybody else. So let's give a BreakCheck welcome to Robert Bain, the strongest man in logistics, whose arms are bigger than my thighs.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, brother? Got the shades. I think you're a couple days early for the 4th of July celebration, but I welcome it,
Absolutely not, baby. Absolutely not. Red, white, and better than you since 1776.
I love that. So when you're the strongest man in logistics, what's 4th of July look like? I don't know if I'd have enough meat on deck to support your appetite.
Few do. Lot of red meat, man. I think we are grilling for the 4th, but yeah, we've got steaks. We got some chicken thighs. Big grilled zucchini guy.
All right. I didn't see that in the cards.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get some veggies in a little bit. You gotta help pass all this stuff through. So, big grilled zucchini guy, and then we'll just be outside hanging out. We live about an hour from the district, and I'm going nowhere near Washington D.C. this weekend. So we will be in the backyard.
Did you see that FIFA fan zone yesterday?
Oh, it was amazing. That game stressed me out so much, but what an incredible match! And watching the fan zones, and it's watching Americans care about the sport I fell in love with, 30 plus years ago is incredible. It's so much fun. And
I think
watching this
FIFA has done more for the United States image than the UN ever has.
Definitely better than many other organizations. We'll just put it that way.
It's crazy. All these people coming from all over the world coming to the United States and we heard all these terrible things and America is awesome. And I'm yeah, we've been telling you that. You got to get out of your own echo chamber. We have ranch. We have ranch. Actually, I think a couple of them were trying to take tubs of it back. So let's get to business over here. There's a lot of gaps in people's operations that are draining their margins. When GLCS walks into a carrier's operations, what's the most common hidden problem that's costing them money? And you guys are yep, knew that would be there.
Bespoke process and bespoke process with technology. many times what we find is that as organizations evolve, they will create new processes, whether it is based on customer need or based on workarounds or just the inability for a technology to keep up with their business. And so they will create workarounds with that. And that creates these manual things that it drains margin, it drains brain power, it takes time from the operation, and where people feel that they are indispensable. And again, now that individuals are not, because they don't document these processes and go back and audit them, we find that these become a one-off per individual. So you may have a process for customer assistance or customer service, and you have 20 people in that organization. You have 20 different processes for how customers are taken care of. And so that becomes something that's not scalable. It's very difficult for people to move up in the organization because, again, they're stuck and pigeonholed into the area that they're in. And when you look at the technology piece, a lot of times what it is people are not consistently looking at the configuration of their operating systems, their maintenance systems, can be the finance side. There's a variety of things that could be, but we find that because we develop these workarounds, that creates these large gaps as the organization continues to scale.
So you mentioned a lot of these different systems. People have TMSs, ELDs, applicant tracking systems, accounting software, maintenance software. They got all these systems. They spend all this money on all these bells and whistles, but where does it break down? Like, you get all these systems, you get all these fun toys, but then they're not working in unison. Like, where's the breakdown?
They don't talk. Many times it is the integrations and is how those integrations are built. Certainly something that we do at GLCS as integrations. It's not our main source of business, but it is a large piece of it. And ultimately what you tend to have is, and I'll just use the example, you have your TMS, you've got your maintenance software, you've got your finance system over here, and none of these things are interconnected. They are just floating out here. And so it is either dropping files in to upload, so the data is not coming in real time, and velocity of data. You and I have talked about this on previous shows. The velocity of business is very important. And so making sure that that is accurate and that is connected. But it is those integrations. It is that. And if you think about it from a flow chart perspective, when you look at the demand signal, when a customer says, hey, I have a load to move, all the way up until the cash is in the bank, you want to create as little friction in that as possible. And integrations, because again, there can be multiple systems that are all part of that. Integrations is where that is going to either help or hinder your business.
Now, you get to talk to all these different businesses, you get to work within all these different systems, and then you have your own lived experience within the industry. What are the top 3 tech or operational mistakes costing carriers their profits? And where can they put their attention to solve these?
Ooh, that is a great question. I'm glad you asked.
He's like, man, I'm not going to have a job by the time I'm done with Break Check. You're giving them all that.
Exactly. Really, the biggest one is not consistently auditing your tech stack. Do you have the right systems? Are you spending the right amount of money? We actually had a great call with one of our customers, and they walked through what they're spending, and it's like, you're actually spending probably about, and in their case, they're about a $200 million operation. Like, you're spending about $1 million less than you should be on your technology. And so, which was a bit of a shock to them. Like, well, wait, we should be spending more. We feel we're spending too much. And then on the flip side, you see the folks that are very late adopters. Nothing wrong with that. That's their risk profile. But because they're late adopters, they wait until everything is broken before they try to fix it. And so ultimately what I see is that there's not a consistent audit of what your tech stack is, what it's doing, what you're paying, to make sure that you're aligned with best practices, and also understanding who you are as, what your risk tolerance is. Are you very okay with, I want brand new technology, I'll be bleeding edge with everything? That's my persona. Or I want to wait till it is fully baked, it works, I know I can essentially plug and play. Or where in between on that spectrum you fall. If you don't know what that is, that's probably the first thing you need to do is, how do I like my technology? And then what technology am I using?
So let's talk about running smarter and not harder. We live in a day and age where a lot of companies think cybersecurity is a Fortune 500 problem, where the biggest risk is, a phishing email, but that's not necessarily the case. If a carrier loses control of its data, if it loses control of its drivers, its customers, its finances, what does that truly cost in the year 2026?
A lot. But ultimately, when you look at cybersecurity, this is for everybody. If you're a one truck operation, it is for you. And if you don't believe me, look at why do you have passwords anywhere on your phone? Why do you have a code to get into your smart device? All these things are very, very important. And to your point, when you go down the line of you lose access to your financials, and that could just be the numbers. Those things are very important because, bad guys can leverage this data for a lot of things. If they know who your customers are, know where your money's at, know how to get to it, and if they can block you from it, they're going to put you in a situation where you've got to start jumping through hoops. And that is additional margin and money lost because you're not putting the things in place. Having cyber insurance is good. Everyone should look at that on some level. But if you are running an operation, if you are an entrepreneur and you are trying to control your own destiny, this is something that you can't overlook. You need to have some level of cybersecurity, even if it is something as simple as two-factor authentication. So if someone is trying to get into your bank account or trying to get into your operating system, they have to at least go through your phone to be able to do so. So again, it can be something very simple as that to a much more complex process. And I won't go into all that because, to be fair, that's not my area of expertise. We have people on our team that are phenomenal at that, but it is something that everybody needs.
So a lot of times when you're in consultancy, I know when I was running mine, people were always like, it's time to grow. It's time to get bigger. But there's a way to do it. You want to grow smarter. You don't want to just get bigger. When a carrier says they're ready to grow, what's the first sign that you're looking for to show them that they're not?
So I'll make this analogy very similar to strength sports. I for those who don't know, I powerlift outside of work, hence the name Strongest Men in Logistics. And a lot of folks will say, hey, I want bigger numbers. I want, I've got a 1,500 pound total. I want a 2,000 pound total. Awesome. You're sitting at 5 million. You want to go to 20 million. You're sitting at 5 trucks. You want to go 25 trucks. Awesome. Do you know your cost per mile? Do you know how much you're eating is a great way to start. Do you know what your commitment to that is? And what I mean by that is, how consistently have you been running these 5 trucks, essentially year round? How long have you been in business? If you've only been in business for a year, you have no idea what a full year cycle is going to be like. And you also don't have any comparison of year to year. So we're going to look at a lot of that type of stuff. And again, I make the analogy of if somebody's looking to grow their total, what are you doing in the gym? What are you doing in the kitchen? What are you doing? And I say this a little cautiously. What are you doing in the bedroom? Are you actually sleeping? Are you getting good sleep? Is you're somebody like me who is considered overweight because I weigh well over what somebody 5'8" should, do you have a CPAP? Are you getting this stuff checked out? Do you have a doctor? And so I look at this on the trucking side. Do you have a CPA? Do you have somebody who's running your tech, or do you have an outsourced piece, or do you have that just in-house? Whether it's your kid, your uncle, whoever it is, do you already have these things in place so that as you grow and scale, when these things start to matter more, you've already got all the insurance policies, so to speak. And so none of this is a surprise. Also, are you networked enough in the industry that you may know some people that are, running a similar operation? Wouldn't hurt to talk to them as well and understand what they're doing. Again, they may not be direct competitors, but if you run a 5 truck operation, you got a buddy who's got a 50 truck operation, you should be talking to them fairly consistently to understand what are the things you run into, because you're going to run into more stuff with 50 trucks on the road versus 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. And one of the things that I always notice too is a lot of people, markets get tight, margins are tight. Margins are tight right now. Rates might be up, but margins are still tight. So are expenses. So people think certain things are kind of out of reach or not for them. A lot of small carriers watching might think consulting is only for big fleets. When you're talking to these people that might have that mentality, now's your time to flex. Why should someone consider getting outside help?
So there's a couple of reasons to do that. One, more often than not, and this is anybody, you can't see the forest through the tree. And so you're going to be looking at one major problem you believe you have, hey, I need to grow or I need more revenue. That's the only problem you're looking at. You're not going to look at the ancillary things that are around you. So having another set of eyeballs is really important to help with that. And that could be something just advising. It could be a full engagement. There's a variety of reasons you would look at something like that. And then the other thing, too, I tell people is most of us are better at solving other people's problems than our own. I believe it's called the Socrates method, or not method, but where again, we look at things for others and we can see, again, it's another side. We're looking from the outside. We can see all the variables that they can't, versus within ourselves, we're not able to do that. And also there is the bias of I've built it, so I know it best. It's good to have whether it is a consultant or someone that you trust, come in and be able to say, hey man, like your baby's ugly, because some babies be ugly. And I don't know who wants to hear it, but sometimes you need that so you can understand, okay, cool. What can I do to address this and fix the things that I'm not doing well?
I love that. So I guess that brings me right up to your hard stop question. And I need you to be honest on this one. What's more dangerous to a carrier in 2026, the market or believing they have it all figured out? And what's the biggest sleep agent that most are overlooking?
Believing they all have it all figured out. Hard stop. There is no question about that. The market's always going to market. It's been doing it for 5 decades. It's going to continue to do that for forever. Believing you have it all figured out is a great way to get blindsided by technology, by competitors. But I mean, to be your own people sometimes. And so you have to always be looking for ways to improve or where you could adjust. And again, margins are tight. Look for the pennies, because the pennies will stack up. And so where are the sleepers on this kind of stuff? It's going to be always people, process, technology. And remember, the processes, technology, and even the people that take you from 0 to 1 may not be the same or may not look the same from 1 to 100.
I love that. Well, hey man, I appreciate you joining us. This is our America 250 pre-4th of July brake check. So, hey, we're going to take this out the only way we know how. All gas, no brakes. That's a wrap. I'll see you next week. Let's ring in 250 years of the great American experiment as we know it. Blow off some fireworks. We're going to show a couple clips of what that looks like if you had a Gatling gun firework display. And then, shout out to FIFA for being better than the United Nations ever has with bringing American pride to all the people that might not be Americans. I'll see you next week.
All right, what we got? How far does it shoot? He said shot pretty far. Turn around so I can see it. What is it? What? Spin it. Rotating machine gun. It says per piece, but the dude said what? 705? Is that what he said?
Between the two.
Oh, okay. So we literally have a firework minigun.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yep.
Let me see the fuse. All right, ready?
Welcome back to the loading zone. Today's deep thought: trucks have big wheels.